Morning,
Good
Shubham.
morning.
Good morning.
Good
Shubham.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Moving on to the last topic of this chapter. It's a small chapter, chapter number 1, taxonomic aids. Can you see on your screen? What is the topic that we'll be doing today?
Taxonomic aid.
Taxonomic aids.
What do you mean by aid? Taxonomy, we already know. What are the 3 words related with taxonomy? Tell me. Quickly. Identification, nomenclature,
Nomenclature
Nomenclature.
and classification.
very good. So basically, taxonomic aid. Aid. Let's break this word and understand the meaning. Taxonomic meaning you've already given me. Now, what do you mean by the word aid? First aid.
Help.
Very good. Help. Excellent. Yes. So the aid which helps us in aid, that means the help that we get in taxonomy. All those things which are useful for us in the study of taxonomy are what we call them as taxonomic aids. Understood the word in the heading? It's taxonomic aid. Taxonomic aid is something which helps you in identifying nomenclature, naming, and classification of organisms. All these together are what we call as which aids?
Taxonomic aids.
Yes, beta, they're taxonomic aids. Is it okay? See on your screens a simple definition also. Anything which helps to study plants and animals, that means it helps in taxonomy, is what we call as a taxonomical aid. For example, for plants, we could take botanical gardens. That is a taxonomic aid. If you talk about animals, we can take it as a zoological park. These are the 2 best examples of taxonomic aids. So how would you define taxonomic aid? Anything which helps us to study the taxonomy of plants and animals are called as taxonomic aids. And the 2 examples are botanical garden and zoological gardens. Okay, now define taxonomic aid. Come on, try and define taxonomic aid, beta. Not such a difficult thing. It's on your screens also. Help. Anything which helps in what?
Taxonomy.
To study about
Helps in taxonomy. Taxonomy of what? Taxonomy of human beings, taxonomy of cities, countries. What taxonomy? Taxonomy of which things?
Plants and animals. Plants and animals.
So botanical garden would be a aid for plants or animals.
For plants.
And zoological garden will serve as a taxonomic aid for
Animals. For animals.
animals.
Yes, beta. Now see, what are botanical gardens? The name itself tells you a garden related to plants, that is botanical gardens. Place where we grow different varieties of plants. Now, why do we grow these plants? Why do we have botanical gardens? There are certain advantages. The first advantage is scientific study, especially for biology students. Any research work, they want to go and find out how this plant is, how it looks like, what are its name, scientific name, all these things. And it educates the people also. For example, cardamom. What is cardamom? Anybody can tell me in Hindi what is cardamom?
Elaichi.
Very good. Has anybody seen a cardamom plant?
No,
Beta,
ma'am.
tell me,
No,
has
ma'am.
anyone seen? Even I have not seen. I don't even know that those small green cardamoms which you use at home, वो पेड़ पे ऐसे ही ग्रो करते हैं या कोई फ्रूट होता है उसके अंदर से निकलते हैं, और डू दे ग्रो इन ग्रुप्स और दे ग्रो वन small. See, if I talk about guava, everybody can imagine how guavas are growing on a tree. But that is why I took this example of cardamom to imagine and tell you there are so many things we use in our daily life, but we do not have any knowledge about them. How they grow, whether they grow in groups or they grow single. Like cotton ball, you'll have to peel out and then cotton bahar nikalta hai. But we don't know about cardamom. Does cardamom also come out in balls and then you'll have to peel it out? So there are so many things, so many products that you use at home, but you do not have this knowledge about them. Forget about the scientific aspect knowledge. We don't even know the common things about such plants. So how cardamom, it helps in educating people. For example, I told you cardamom, what the plant looks like, how they are attached to the plant. If you want to get some knowledge about such kind of things which are not very common, we can go and visit which place?
Botanical gardens.
Botanical garden.
Yes, botanical gardens. Yes, beta.
Ma'am,
Yes.
please take the green, she's saying.
She's late every day. Anyways, I'll admit her. Let's talk about a very famous and a very old botanical garden in India. Okay. See, beta, the Indian Botanical Garden. Earlier, it was known by this name. Now, recently, the name has changed. I think in your book, NCERT book, this name is only given. Indian Botanical Garden. Right? Biggest garden in India. We have one more. I'll tell you about it. So earlier, the old name was Indian Botanical Garden. Recently, the name has changed. And now it is called Acharya Jagdish Chandra Bose Botanical Garden. Sabse pehle, when the Britishers left, it was called Royal Botanical Garden. It is in Kolkata. Okay. Earlier, the first name was what?
Royal Botanical Garden.
Yes. Then the Britishers left. We felt that this name should be changed. It was given the Indian Botanical Garden. And recently, the third time the name has changed. Presently, it is called, in NCERT book, you will find this name, Indian Botanical Garden. In some reference books, this name is also given Royal Botanical Garden. They are the same, don't get confused. Now it is called Acharya Jagdish Chandra Bose Botanical Garden. This name you will not have in the books because they are old publications. So what is the name now, present name for this botanical garden? Acharya
Acharya Jagdish Chandra Bose
Acharya
Botanical
Jagdish.
Gardens.
Jagdish Chandra Bose Botanical Garden. And this garden is very famous for many plant species. I'll be talking about 3 species, because of which people from different parts of the world, they come and visit this garden. This garden is in Kolkata, beta, Havra. Havra, Kolkata. Place in Kolkata, that is Havra. Earlier, you know, that was known as Calcutta, and now we call it as Kolkata. So this garden, the biggest garden that we have, it is in Kolkata. It is very famous for 3, although there are thousands of varieties of plants growing there, but people come from many parts of the world for first to watch the great banyan tree. There is a great old banyan tree over there. People come to watch this tree. It is 250 years old, this tree. And it has got 2,800 prop roots spread over 14,500 square meter of area. So this tree alone looks like a forest, a small forest. Because of how many prop roots?
2,800.
2,800. What are prop roots?
800.
I don't want the scientific definition. Generally, बताइए, what is a prop root if you see? Have you ever seen prop roots? In your daily life, anywhere around you, have you seen a prop root, children? Yes or no? Anything you can share,
Yes,
beta. You've seen which tree? Commonly, which
Ma'am.
plant?
Ma'am, banyan tree only.
Banyan tree only. How does it look like?
Ma'am,
What
they
color?
are hanging roots.
Very good. And will you find them in young trees or old ones?
Old ones.
Very good, beta. They are hanging roots. They grow from the branches towards what? Towards the land. Okay. And this great banyan tree, about which I'm telling you, the roots, they hang from the tree, and it's such an old tree. They come and they reach the soil, the land. And from there, another tree starts growing. Okay. You have done vegetative propagation in class 10th. We
Yes,
had
ma'am.
studied about a
Yes,
method
ma'am.
with, tell me, we had studied about a method of a jasmine tree where one stem bends down and then it gets buried under the soil and a new plant comes up. What was it called? Hmm. Does this happen in jasmine tree? A small stem, it bends down and then it gets covered with soil, roots develop,
Layering.
and then very good. It is called layering. So something like this has happened in this banyan tree also. Almost 2,800 prop roots coming out, and most of the roots have now got trees of their own. So it looks like a jungle of its own, and a separate jungle covering about 14,500 square meters of area. Abhi, recently it was in the news that the main bark was cut because it got infected. The oldest जो tree था बेटा, uska the bark was removed because it got infected. It was removed because so that the infection does not spread onto the other trees. So the prop root wala trees are still surviving. So it looks like a mini jungle. It's actually one single banyan tree. How old?
250 years old.
We are talking about
250
three
years
special.
ago.
Very good, beta. We are talking about three special species of plants found in this garden. Second is, we move on to the second one, your pandanus plant. Okay, this all is not there in NCRT, but just for a little extra knowledge of yours, you need not learn this also much. When we come for examination pattern, I always say it is NCRT. Pandanus plant, beta, this plant is famous for multiple root caps. Normally, the plants have one root. One root has one root cap. But this plant that we have in this garden, pandanus plant, it has thousands of root caps. Multiple root caps are there. Each root has 15, 20 root caps. Normally, one root has one root cap, but here we have multiple root caps. And one more. There is one plant with the biggest leaves in the world, Victoria amazonica. The name of the plant is Victoria amazonica. Commonly, it is called as water lily. The leaves are so big that supposing we sit on the ground, you imagine that we are all sitting on the ground, 6 of your friends sitting together. Then 6 people, 6 grown-up people can sit on one leaf. That huge the leaves are. The name of the plant is Victoria amazonica. Commonly, it is called as a giant water lily. What is it called?
Victoria Amazonia, commonly called giant water lily.
So we were talking about the largest botanical garden in India, which is situated at Kolkata, and 3 species which are very famous of this garden. Which was the first one?
The great banyan tree.
Banyan tree.
Very good. The great
The
banyan
great
tree,
banyan tree.
which is famous for how many prop roots?
2,800 properties.
Very good. And the second is your pandanus plant, which is famous for?
Multiple roots. Caps.
Yes, beta. And the third is a plant which has largest leaves. What is the name?
Victoria
Amazonica.
Amazonia.
Yes. The leaves are so huge that mature, grown up. How many adults can sit on that leaf?
6.
6.
Good. What is the name, present name of this largest botanical garden in India?
Acharya Jagdish Chandra Bose Botanical Gardens.
Hmm. And where is it situated, Bida?
In Kolkata.
Howrah.
Yes, it is situated in Hapra. Okay. We have one more, which is famous. The National Botanical Garden and Research Institute. This is in Lucknow. If we talk about the world, then we have internationally Royal Botanical Garden in London. Okay. This is the largest garden. Royal Botanical Garden. This is in UK, in London. This queue, there's a place over there. So it is there. So two famous gardens in India. The second one is this, the National Botanical Garden and Research Institute. This is in Lucknow. If you talk about international, then this is the largest one, Royal Botanical Garden. Where is it situated?
In UK.
Yes. In all these botanical gardens, you will find the age of the plants, the scientific names, the natural habitats, everything is mentioned there. When you'll go and visit a botanical garden, along with the plants, you will have these. So, botanical gardens give you information about plants or animals.
For plants.
Plants.
Okay. Let us move on to the second one. Second taxonomic aid, that is zoological parks. Second taxonomic aid that we're going to study is the zoological parks. What is a zoological park? Simple, what you call as a zoo in common language. What do you commonly call it as? A
Zoo.
zoo. Yes, Peter, you must have all visited, I'm sure. It is an enclosed area for animals. But what is the purpose of having these zoological parks? Again, the same reason, scientific study. If somebody wants to know more about a particular animal, if I want to know more about snakes, where will I go? I cannot, there is no place, I cannot catch hold of snakes myself and study the different varieties. So obviously, the best option I will have is to go to a zoological park. In Delhi, we have a zoo which is very famous for a snake area. We have many varieties of snakes in the zoo of Delhi. Now, recently, though I have not gone for quite some years, but I remember 7, 8 back, 10 years back the lane, they have a separate enclosure for snakes, which you find very rarely in zoos. But they have a beautiful collection of snakes, Delhi Zoo. So if we have any kind of interest, any scientific study has to be done for animals, we can do this. And one more very important reason and benefit of this is beta protection of the endangered animals and educating people. Recreation is, of course, one more advantage of this. Children love to go there, have fun. But if you talk about the intellectual part, then scientific study, preserving of endangered species, and even educating people about these animals. So we have done two taxonomic aids. First is a botanical garden, and the second is?
Zoological Park.
Yes, Veda. Second is your zoological park. The third one are museums. Third is museum. How many of you have gone to Corbett National Park? Corbett, Jim Corbett, then we Ramnagar. I think we had a trip
Yes, sir.
also. Did you visit the museum? Corbett
Yes,
Museum?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
If you remember the museum that we have inside the park, there is a huge tiger there. Okay. And it is what tiger it is. You think it is the same tiger which is preserved for so many years? Tell me. They have kept this box, two huge tigers. And it is written, some details are written about those tigers, that these tigers fought with each other and both of them killed each other and died, etc., etc. When did this happen? Everything is mentioned. They're stuffed animals. What do is, we remove the soft tissues from the dead body, the soft cells, the soft tissues, the cytoplasm, and we stuff it. We stuff it with things which do not decay. Okay? For example, you know bhusa, hay? Have you
Yes,
seen
ma'am.
bhusa in the hay?
Yes, ma'am.
That does not decay, beta. So generally, we stuff it with hay or we stuff it some other material and make it look like a natural animal. This is how we preserve things in zoo. There are different ways how we do it. Let's talk about this. Museum, it is a place for preserved organisms are kept as specimens. They are preserved organisms. You will keep them as insects, as specimens. Now, there are two different patterns. If the animal is a smaller one, for example, I talk about an insect or a butterfly, then normally, how are they kept, beta? They are first dried. I'm talking about worms and small insects like butterfly. First, they are dried because we always know that water leads to decay. So the first thing is done is dried, and then their wings are spread and pinned on sheets. They're pinned on sheets. This is how they are kept. This method is used for small animals or big animals?
Small animal.
Small animals like worms and butterflies. How are they preserved? First, after death, of course, they're dead only. First, they're dried very nicely. The reason why they're dried is the same, that water, wherever water will be left, there would be decay. So first, they are dried very nicely. And for large animals, okay, they are preserved by removing stuffing. I was just telling you about stuffing, by removing the soft tissues and to get a complete idea. Also, some fossils are kept. The purpose is again the same, scientific study and giving knowledge to the common man about these endangered animals. So this is the main reason why we have this, which is the fourth taxonomic aid we have just done. Yes, beta, which is the first taxonomic aid. Okay, let me go like this.
Botanical
What happened?
garden.
Yes, beta, it is botanical garden. Second was
Zoological.
Zoological park.
yes, beta. The second was zoological park. The third is
Museum.
Museum.
in museums. For which kind of organisms do we use the drying and pinning method?
Small animals.
Yes, small animals. And stuffing is basically done for which animals?
Large animals.
Yes, like tigers. Supposing there's a dead body of a tiger and it has to be preserved in a museum, then we'll go for this. Okay. Now let's go further. The last one here in this category is herbarium. Herbarium, I think you must have prepared herbarium files in your junior classes. Has anyone prepared?
Yes, ma'am.
Summer vacation, generally this was the holiday homework which is given to the students in junior classes. Prepare a herbarium file. We collect different kind of leaves, we dry them, we press them and we stick them. We call it as mounting. Okay, sticking is what we call as mounting. So there are 3 steps in making a herbarium. What are the 3 steps? Do we have fairs in this class? Children? See, collection of dry. First you are going to dry, then you are going to press, and then you are going to mount the plants. The first thing you will do is you will dry the plant, then press it between filter papers. After drying again, we will press it in filter papers so that if at all some water is left, that is also removed. And then they're mounted on paper sheets. See, this is the standard size used in the entire world. 29 centimeters into 43 centimeters. This question is sometimes asked in NEET. Standard size of mounting on herbarium sheets. What is the standard size in the entire world? Tell me.
29 centimeter into 43 centimeter.
We have an exception only America, North America, where the size is little different. This 29 remains the same, but in place of 43, it is 41.5 centimeters. So this is the standard size used in the entire world for mounting of leaves in a herbarium. Only in America, this 43 becomes 41.5. This is the only exception country we have. So this is how herbarium sheets look like. Dimensions I told you 29 into how many centimeters?
43 centimeters.
So this is the plant which we have dried. Then we pressed it between the filter papers to remove if still there's some water left, and then we pin it. We are sticking it, mounting. Now this is important. On the right lower side, this is fixed. Which side is this? Right lower side. Which place is this, beta? Right lower of the sheet. If I talk about this sheet, then this is which corner? Right lower side. The description is written. This is again a standard rule fixed in the entire world. What all description has to be given on the right lower side? The local name, the scientific name, plant was collected from where, who collected it, what is the natural habitat, what is the date of collection. All these details are given over here on the right lower side. Is it okay? So what are the 3 steps in maintaining an herbarium? We know that first we collect the plant, then we dry it, press it and mount it. Is it okay? What is the standard size of herbarium sheets?
29 centimeter into 43 centimeter.
North America, we have an exception. In place of 43, they use.
41.5 centimeters.
This is an herbarium sheet. So we have stuck our plant over here. Remember that this is fixed. And the information has to be here. Which corner is this?
Right lower corner.
Right lower corner. All the description is always mentioned here. So you can turn the pages of a herbarium file. And supposing you find a new species somewhere in your colony, you want to know more about it. So you can visit herbarias. There are places you can turn the files, look at the plant, identify it, and get the detailed description about that plant. Okay, now we move on to the last taxonomic key, taxonomic aid, that is key. Okay, last one, taxonomic aid, that is key. Before I move on to the last taxonomic aid, let me have a quick revision. Taxonomic aids are the things which help you in taxonomy, which is the first taxonomic aid we discussed today. Quickly, children.
Botanical garden.
Very good. Second was
Zoological park.
Zoological garden.
third,
Museum.
Museum.
fourth,
Herbarium.
yes. Zoological gardens are commonly called as
Zoos.
Zoo.
yes. And when we want to prepare a herbarium, we first collect the plants. Then what is the next step that we do?
We dry.
Try it.
Yes, we dry them, and after drying, what is this next step we do? Press. We press it between filter papers. Why do we press them between filter papers?
To remove the excess water.
Yes, so that if at all some water is left even after drying, then that water can be absorbed by the filter paper. This is the second step we generally do, and then we mount it. And after mounting, you know this is the final step we have after mounting. Okay, now we move on to the last one, key. This is a little complicating one. Let's understand it with the help of a common example. Supposing you go for a walk in the evening and you find a small child, 5 years old or something, who is lost. And you want to go back to the. Let's talk very commonly. What is the first question you're going to ask the child?
Where are your parents?
Yes, beta?
Where are your parents?
Okay, we are going to ask him, where are your parents? The child is not able to answer. Okay, small child. Generally, we come up with questions ki yahi rahe ho ya kahin bahar se aaye. Is it, don't we ask him that you stay here or you have come from some other place? Do your parent, I mean, I want to talk to him and ask him that, what about your parents? Are your parents here only or they stay outside? Do you have a brother or you have a sister? You generally ask these kind of things. What I'm trying to say, try to gather information from unknown things, and with the help of those small informations that we get, we try and guess who the child is or where the child has come from. Exactly the same thing we do when we find a new species of a plant or an animal. Now we say, okay, this plant is put in this category, or this animal is put in aves or mammals or amphibians. I discover something, I need to decide that this would be put in what category. Should I put it in Pisces? Should I put it for amphibians, reptiles? Where should this go? So how to decide this? How about going ahead with the nomenclature and classification? Which is the aid which is going to help you? Key. What is going to help you? Key data. Key is something very simple. Understand. I always said we have two options given everywhere. And according to those options, we'll select one and we'll proceed to the next level. See, a set of at least alternate statements arranged in a manner that it helps to actually identify an organism. Two alternate statements. For example, I found a small organism. So now I said there are two statements in a key, two alternate statements, unicellular or multicellular. Is the organism unicellular or is it multicellular? So have I got two alternate statements? Ulta statements. One side I'm saying, is it unicellular? The other statement is it multicellular? So such kind of statements are known as alternate statements. In biology, we call them as couplets. What are they called?
Couplet.
Couplets.
And a single sentence is called a statement. Single sentence. If I say, is this organism unicellular? Single sentence. It is called statement. But if I give both the options, two statements, is the organism unicellular or is the organism multicellular? So here I have two statements. It is called as a doublet or a couplet. What are we calling it as? A couplet or a doublet. And if I say a single sentence, then what is it called?
Statement.
Statement. See, for example, there's a new organism found. I'll go for the first couplet. The first couplet says, only one cell or multicellular? I put questions. I'm talking about the first couplet. I got a new organism. So my first couplet is it has only one cell or is it multicellular? These two statements together will be known as a couplet, and one single sentence together will be known as, what is it called?
Statement.
Statement.
State.
Now you will, very good. Now you will give answer. Either you will say it is one cell, it is unicellular, or your answer would be, what would be the second option that can be possible in your answer?
Multicellular.
Multicellular. So once you answer the first couplet, you take one stand that yes, it is, then you move on to the other couplet. So we have got the first feature of that organism, that it is unicellular or multicellular. Give the answer. If one cell, if it is having only one cell, then go to couplet next. Multicellular, then go to the next couplet. What is the next couplet say? Couplet 2. If it is one cell, next couplet says, is nucleus present or nucleus is not present? If it is present, then it must be belonging to Protista. If it is absent, it must be a prokaryote. That means it must be Monera. You have to put it in which category? Monera. But if it was multicellular, then the next couplet says, is it autotrophic or is it heterotrophic? If it is autotrophic, you need to put it into the category of plants. If it is not autotrophic, then we have to again go further and check out. The next couplet could be motile or non-motile. You will get an answer whether it is motile or non-motile. So you will join all the characters and get so many properties about that organism and then guess which taxon it belongs to. So there are always two options. There are a lot of couplets, thousands of couplets are there. Does it have a proper cell wall or not? What is the cell membrane made up of? Okay. These kind of options, you have two options everywhere. Keep selecting, and you get about 100 features of the organism according to the couplets. And according to the information that you have got, you can guess that what is this organism. Is it clear, children? For example, a student only wearing a uniform, I'll be able to guess whether the child is from SR or some other school. After I know the child is from SR, I'll ask him, 11th or 12th? So the child says class 12th. Then I'll say PCM or PCB. Then the person tells me PCB. Old admission or new admission? That also the child will tell. Do you have a sibling in the school or not? Yes. Your class teacher is so or so. So this is how we keep collecting, giving two options, getting the answers, and keep collecting the information. And after we solve all the couplets, we have about 40-50 features of that organism, which help us to put it in which kind of taxon. Got a little idea of keys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
These are the last things. Monograph. If you're doing a systematic study of only one category, you're studying only one level, only one taxon. Supposing you want to study only species level, gather all the information, then it is going to be monograph. Mono. Study of only one category is known as monograph. And manual, this is all information about one species. All the information about one species. Some places you will also find flora. Flora gives you all information about the plants in a particular area. Supposing about your society, if you collect and prepare a file of information of all the plants in your particular area, it will be called as, what will it be called as? Flora. What will we call it, children?
Flora.
Flora.
So let's have a quick revision. I think we still have a minute. Which was the first taxonomic age?
Botanical garden.
Botanical garden.
Second.
Zoological
Zoological garden.
park.
Zoological garden.
Okay, third.
Museum.
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 Yes, third is museum. Fourth.
Herbarium.
Herbarium.
Aquarium.
Herbarium.
Fifth.
Key.
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 Okay, the two sentences, the two options that we have in a key, what are they called?
Couplets.
Couplets.
Very good. They're called couplets. And a single statement is called?
Statement.
Yes. Single one is called as a statement. If you're doing the study of only one category, then what is it called?
Monograph.
Monograph.
Very good. And if you're collecting all information only about one species, supposing I just want to collect information about rose or mango, okay, indica species of mango, then I'll prepare an entire file that will be known as a manual.